Joining me now, Judiciary Committee Chairman, Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, always good to see you.
Thank you.
You know, the wheels are turning a bit in Washington. Senators back and trying to get some business done, which I think is a good sign for everyone. But John Ratcliffe withdrew his name from this position back in the summer, and now he is in the confirmation process. Do you think that he's going to be confirmed?
Absolutely. I don't expect Chuck Schumer to vote for him, but my expectations regarding Senator Schumer and the Trump administration are pretty low. But I do expect he will get a majority of votes necessary to be the next DNI. I will support him. John's got a good, firm grasp of the world the way it is. He understands that Iran's a bad actor, and he's got a very traditional view of foreign policy. I think he'll be a good addition to the Trump national security team. I enthusiastically support him.
So, you know, obviously there's going to be a big focus on China as we look at how this started and whether or not we can trust China at all, or to what extent, in which areas we can. Do you think that he's a good leader on that issue in terms of cyber threats and all of it?
Yeah, well, John's been on the Intel Committee since 2014. He's a former U.S. attorney. He has a very clear-eyed view of China. China's not our friend. I know John very well. He's a darn good golfer. I'm sure that helps get the job with President Trump. But no, he's solid. He's solid in every area of national security. I have a lot of confidence he'll speak truth to power, and that he's a very smart guy, that working with Pompeo and Esper and O'Brien, he'll be a good addition. President Trump will have one of the best national security teams around him since I've been up here in Congress.
Yeah. I want to play General Milley today on the issue of where COVID-19 materialized. Watch this.
Did it come out of the virology lab in Wuhan? Did it occur in the wet market there in Wuhan? Did it occur somewhere else? And the answer to that is we don't know. And as mentioned by many people, various agencies, both civilian and U.S. government, are looking at that.
Yeah.
So what happens if it is determined? You know, we have several agencies who've said that they have some pretty good evidence that it did come out of that lab in Wuhan. What's the next move with China if that turns out to be the case, if we can prove it?
Well, number one, I want Democrats to know it didn't come out of Trump Tower. You haven't heard one Democrat criticize China at all on this. The next move is to sanction China until they let us go into China and go into the lab and find out with the international community what happened. They need to cooperate in investigating what happened. We need sanctions to make them cooperate. They need to close these wet markets down. They serve monkeys and bats, intermingles with the food supply. This will be the third pandemic coming out of a Chinese wet market. So I'm going to introduce a bill to sanction China until they cooperate with the investigation, shut the market down. In terms of making them pay, there's three things we can do. We can cancel debt that China owes us. We can allow individual Americans to sue China for the damage done to them and their families. And we could put a pandemic tariff on products coming out of China. That's how you can make them pay.
Yeah, I think the relationship is changing, and I think there's going to be some interesting markers for that as we go forward here. I want to ask you about John Durham's investigation, because besides the virus, I know it's on a lot of people's minds, especially given what we learned about some of the communications in the General Flynn case. You know, there is, you know, some suggestion that John Durham was surprised to learn, this is from a source in reporting, that there were no whistleblowers at the FBI who came forward during this whole period. What do you say to that, Senator?
If you're in the FBI and you were working during this period of time and you saw things that bothered you, please speak up. It was a pretty intimidating seventh floor being in the FBI. So Durham's going to look at criminality, whether somebody broke the law in the name of enforcing the law, whether they had a political bias and took the law in their own hands. As Judiciary Chairman, I'm going to try to explain to the country, have a public accounting of Crossfire Hurricane. I think Crossfire Hurricane was one of the most unethical, sloppy, ill-conceived, and dangerous operations in the history of the FBI and the Department of Justice. It wasn't about protecting the Trump campaign. It was about trying to undermine it. And my goal is to have a public accounting laid out for the entire country and the world to see. And after Durham is done with his prosecutions. So you are going to have
Jim Comey.
You got it.
You're going to have Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and when is that going to happen?
Probably in the summer. I'm going to do my homework first. I'm going to talk to people at the lower levels, and I want to ask Comey and McCabe how they continue to get warrants against Carter Page after January 2017. So bottom line is we're gonna make them come and tell the story and ask them hard questions.
And that will happen. There was a suggestion it's going to be in the fall.
No, we're going to start calling people publicly in the summer. There'll be a report